Most people spend their whole lives trying to fix themselves and never do. They read the books, they download the apps, they buy the journals, and 6 weeks later, they're back to square one, wondering what's wrong with them. But there's a group of warriors who cracked this problem centuries before self-help became a billion-dollar industry. No therapists, no morning routine YouTube videos, no just believe in yourself pep talks. They were the samurai. And the way they approached personal transformation, it'll make everything you've tried before like a Band-Aid on a broken bone. Stick around, because by the end of this, you're not just going to feel motivated, you're going to think differently.
Okay, real talk. You've tried to fix something about yourself before, right? Maybe it was waking up earlier. Maybe it was the anger thing. Maybe it was finally finishing that project you keep pushing back. And here's what probably happened. You were pumped for like 3 days. Day 1, you were a different person. Day 4, Day 10, you barely remembered starting. Don't feel bad. That's not a character flaw. That's just how most of us are taught to change. We're told transformation is about motivation, about wanting it bad enough, about some big emotional moment that rewires your whole life overnight. But motivation is a candle, not a torch. It burns bright for a second, then the wind blows and it's gone. The samurai knew this. They didn't rely on feeling ready. They didn't wait for inspiration to strike. They built systems so deep into their daily lives that discipline became automatic. They had a word for it, Kaizen, continuous improvement. Not a sprint, not a reset, a slow, daily sharpening of the blade. And here's the thing that most people miss about Kaizen. It's not about doing more. It's about doing things better, even by the tiniest fraction. 1% better today, 1% better tomorrow. That sounds almost laughably small until you do the math. Do that for a year, you're 37 times better than you were on January 1st. Yeah, that's not a metaphor. That's actual compounding. But Kaizen was just the foundation. The samurai had a whole philosophy underneath it, and that's where it gets interesting.
Start there. Just there. Keep the promises you make to yourself when no one's watching. Courage. You. But not the kind of courage you see in movies, not the dramatic battle cry before the charge type of courage. The samurai understood moral courage. The courage to say, I was wrong. The courage to walk away from something comfortable that's slowly destroying you. The courage to become someone different than who you've been. That's the hardest kind. Because external enemies, you can see them. But the enemy inside, the one that tells you you're not ready, you're not worth it, you'll probably fail again, that one's sneaky. Courage in the samurai way isn't the absence of fear, it's moving anyway. Benevolence, Jin. This one surprises people. You'd think a warrior code would be all aggression and discipline. But the samurai believed that true strength had to come with compassion. A warrior without kindness was just a weapon with legs. Here's the twist. This virtue is actually the one most modern self-improvement culture gets backwards. Everyone's obsessed with grinding harder, optimizing themselves, becoming a machine. And they forget that connection, empathy, and kindness toward yourself and others, that's not weakness, that's fuel. You can't fix yourself in isolation. It doesn't work. The samurai knew that. Community, loyalty, care, those weren't soft add-ons to the code. They were pillars of it. There are 4 more virtues in Bushido, but we'll loop back to those. Because first, I need to tell you about something called the empty mind, and it might be the most powerful mental shift you've never heard of.
The samurai code that changed everything. The samurai lived by a code called Bushido. Roughly translated, it means the way of the warrior. And while most people think it's just about sword fighting and honor in battle, it was actually a complete operating system for a human being. Think about that. These guys had a manual for how to exist, how to handle fear, failure, ego, relationships, purpose, all of it. Centuries before anyone was writing tweets about mindset. There were 7 core virtues, and I want to walk you through the ones that'll actually hit different for your life right now. Rectitude, or gi. This is doing the right thing, even when it costs you. Not when it's convenient, not when people are watching. Even in the dark, even when you're alone. Even when you could easily get away with the easy, selfish choice. Here's why this matters for self-improvement. Most people fail in private. They make promises to themselves, and then they break them quietly, where no one can see. And every time you do that, you chip away at something, your own self-trust. The samurai treated their word to themselves the same way they treated an oath to their lord. Sacred, non-negotiable.
Mushin, the empty mind technique. Here's something that samurai warriors trained for years to achieve, a mental state called Mushin. It literally means no mind. Now, before you think this is going full mystical on you, hang on, because the psychology behind this is rock solid and completely usable in your daily life right now. Mushin is the state of acting without overthinking, without the voice in your head narrating, second-guessing, judging, and spiraling. It's the zone athletes talk about. It's flow state. It's that rare feeling when you're just doing and everything clicks. The samurai trained for Mushin because in a sword fight, there is no time to think. You react or you die. But what they discovered in training translated off the battlefield too. The people who learned to quiet their minds made better decisions, stayed calmer under pressure, and recovered from setbacks faster. And here's the part that connects directly to you fixing yourself. Most of our self-destructive habits don't come from a lack of information. You know junk food isn't great. You know you should sleep earlier. You know the thing you've been putting off matters. The problem is the mental noise, the anxiety, the overthinking that turns a simple action into a spiral of but what if I fail, and I'll start Monday, and who am I kidding anyway? Mushin cuts through that noise. And here's a dead simple way to start practicing it today. The samurai didn't meditate the way influencers tell you to. They practiced through repetition. They did the same movements over and over until the mind stopped commenting and the body just knew. You can do this with anything, a morning ritual, a workout, even how you make your coffee. Pick one thing, do it the same way every single day. Don't negotiate with yourself about it. Don't let your brain start a debate. Just do it. That's you training your Mushin muscle, small but real. And once you start quieting the noise on small things, something interesting starts to happen with the bigger stuff. But we'll get to that in a moment.
The samurai approach to failure. Okay, this might be the most important part of this entire video. There's a concept in Japanese culture called Kintsugi, the art of repairing broken pottery with gold. Instead of hiding the cracks, you highlight them. You make the broken places beautiful. It wasn't just an art form, it was a philosophy. The idea that something broken and repaired is not lesser than the original. It's more valuable because it has a story, because it survived. Think about how differently you've been treating your own failures. Most people hide their failures. They're ashamed of them. They pretend they didn't happen, or they let them become identity labels. I'm just someone who can't stick to things. I always self-sabotage. I've tried before and it never works. The samurai flipped this entirely. Failure wasn't a verdict on your character. It was data. It was a teacher. Every scar was a lesson, and every lesson moved you forward. There's even a samurai concept called Shoshin, the beginner's mind. The idea that you approach every situation, even ones you think you know, with openness and curiosity instead of ego. This is huge for personal growth. Because the moment you decide you already know something about yourself, about your patterns, about what you're capable of, you stop growing. You stop seeing new solutions. You're too busy defending the story you've already written about yourself. Beginners ask questions. Beginners try things that might look dumb. Beginners are willing to be wrong. And weirdly, beginners improve the fastest. So here's the real question this whole video has been building to. What if you stopped trying to fix a broken version of yourself and started treating who you are right now as the starting material for something extraordinary? The samurai didn't become warriors despite their scars. They became warriors through them. Bringing it all together. So let's land this. The samurai way of fixing yourself isn't a dramatic overnight transformation. It's not a detox or a challenge or a 7-day reset. It's a philosophy, a slow, deliberate, daily commitment to becoming more than you were yesterday. It's Kaizen, 1% better, every day, without exception. It's Bushido, living by a personal code that you actually keep, especially in private. It's Mushin, quieting the noise so you can finally act instead of overthink. And it's Kintsugi, understanding that your cracks are not your shame, they're your story. Here's the thing that I want you to sit with after you close this video. The samurai trained for years without ever seeing a battlefield. They didn't wait for the perfect moment to commit to becoming better. The training was the point. The daily practice was the transformation. You don't have to have it figured out to start. You just have to start.
If this hit different for you, if there was even one idea in here that made you pause and think, drop a comment below and tell me which concept resonated most. Was it Mushin, Kintsugi, Bushido? I genuinely read those, and I want to know where you're at. And if you want to go deeper into this kind of ancient wisdom applied to modern life, the next video is already waiting for you, because the samurai weren't the only ones who figured this stuff out centuries ago, and the next story might just change how you see your entire day. See you there.